How does a YouTuber disappear for years and still comes back to millions like nothing happened? Well, most creators vanish the second they stop uploading. Vsauce broke the rules. Michael Stevens didn't just survive the algorithm, he outsmarted it. Today, we're exposing the secret behind Vsauce's comeback, Michael's genius strategy, and why YouTube still can't replace him. This is the Internet Chaos Report. Remember to like and subscribe because we're posting videos like this every single day. Now let's get into it.
How can a YouTuber disappear for years and still return to an audience of millions? For most YouTubers, the never-ending grind is a matter of survival. Either they keep producing new content or fade into obscurity. Disappearing for a long time is almost a guaranteed death. And Michael from Vsauce should have been the...
He's the GOAT, dude. Michael from Vsauce is the YouTube GOAT. That's why.
Easiest example of that happening. But instead of falling off, he came back like he never left. And we can't just chalk it up to he makes good videos, because there's no shortage of creators who were just as big as Michael at one point.
I don't know these two women, but Ninja, or I don't remember what his name is, but his videos were good. I liked his videos. Don't know who the fuck these two are. That chick has fucking horse teeth. Anyways, let's get back to it.
But fast forward to 2026, and nobody's talking about them. They failed to innovate.
Oh, he was good. Okay, no. Epic Mealtime, dude. That shit was awesome back in the day. Shane Dawson. No, not good.
Got mixed up in endless controversies, or they stopped uploading.
Don't know who the fuck that guy is.
And slowly became irrelevant. So, for Vsauce to disappear for years, then come back to millions of people cheering like it's 2016 again, shows that he knows something the rest of us don't.
Well, dude, it's because I don't know. He still had memes going on forever after he quit. You know what I'm saying? He still was like a cultural icon, you know?
Almost like he figured out a loophole in YouTube itself.
He's like, "Hello, Vsauce. It's Michael here."
Ready for what just happened.
Fucking cunt, dude.
2.0 just dropped.
What the
and
fuck?
It keeps your character consistent. Before this.
Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we're breaking down what Michael figured out that let him disappear for years and still come back winning. But if you don't want to wait years for the next upload, just subscribe and let's get into it. Vsauce is one of the biggest science and education channels on YouTube, sitting at over 24 million subscribers and more than 6.4 billion views.
Holy shit.
And the face of it all, Michael Stevens, is basically a YouTube landmark at this point. Even people who have never watched a full Vsauce video still know him from the memes and social media.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine YouTube without him today. But there was a time when Vsauce could have died out before it ever had a real audience. You see, the channel originally started as more of a gaming and internet culture thing back in 2010. It also had multiple other hosts besides Michael, and looked nothing like the Vsauce we know and love today. By all means, this did appear to be a double-edged sword. On one hand, this variety gave the channel range and kept things fresh. On the other hand, it was quietly creating a divide in his audience. Viewers who just wanted to watch Michael had no reason to click on videos from the other hosts. You might think that sounds fair.
Well, that's why they have Vsauce 1, Vsauce 2, and Vsauce 3 now.
Enough, maybe even smart from
I guess there is no Vsauce 1, it's just Vsauce, but...
diversity standpoint. But YouTube's algorithm was starting to see things very differently. Right around that time, the platform was experimenting with automated, personalized recommendations. In simple terms, that meant you'd get recommended more of the same type of content you were already watching, usually from the same creators. So if a Vsauce viewer only clicked on videos from their favorite host and ignored the rest, YouTube wouldn't see that as loyalty. It would take that as a sign the channel itself isn't worth recommending, killing it off before it even had a chance to take off. Even in the best case scenario where the channel survived, the messy anything goes style could have turned it into a content dump that puts out anything to go viral. It was even supposed to have the most generic name possible, Video Game Nation. But Michael saw the problem early and pushed for Vsauce instead. In his head, the V could mean video games, or it could also just mean videos if the channel ever needed to switch things up, which is exactly what ended up happening. But for now, Michael kept making videos on Vsauce about games and internet culture in general. There was some educational content scattered within his videos.
Which of these shapes is called Bobo and which is called Kiki? It turns out that because
This one's Bobo and this one's Kiki, for sure.
Because our brains so naturally assign abstract concepts to sounds around the world, no matter what language or culture people come from, nearly 98% call this one Kiki and that one Bobo.
But overall, it was still a mess of mixed ideas that risked getting left behind with every upload. However, in July 2011, something shifted, and Michael finally stumbled onto the one idea that could actually hold all of this together. On July 15th, he uploaded a video titled Hawaii Facts. It was a collection of cultural and historical facts about the Hawaii Islands that Michael found interesting. On the surface, it didn't look any different from Michael's other content on the channel. It didn't go viral, nor was it an obvious masterpiece that looked important at the moment. But behind the scenes, this upload ended up being exactly what Vsauce needed for long-term success. It marked the turning point for Michael, because from here on out, he started leaning all the way into educational content. Even other people started noticing this in hindsight. I think this might be the first true modern Vsauce video. Over the next few years, Michael kept posting more educational and science-related videos in that same direction, even collabing with Bill Nye the Science Guy at one point, and the rest is history. Or so you'd think, because the path to get here was anything but simple. Michael was facing endless competition from other science and education creators, and while he had
The only one that I know is the Veritas.
the skills to stand
The other
out,
ones I have no
successfully
idea
pulling
who
it off
those ones
was
are.
going to be easier said than done, especially because becoming a full-time YouTuber was never his plan. Michael David Stevens started his life on
Him as a
January
baby?
23rd, 1986, in a family focused on education. His mother worked as a teaching assistant, while his father was a chemical engineer. So, from early on, he was surrounded by people who lived in the world of learning, and by high school, that started showing. He got serious with his education and spent his high school years on the speech team, competing in tournaments and giving talks on all kinds of topics, and even traveling to other schools for it. That same momentum carried into college as well, where he studied psychology and English literature. At that point, it looked like he was headed towards a pretty normal path, maybe an educator or a researcher of some sort. YouTube was barely even a thing back then, and Michael had no other plans in making a career out of it. But as life would have it, that couldn't be any further from the truth. One random day in college, Michael was browsing YouTube and came across a video that changed how he viewed the internet.
Saw a video on YouTube called Shining, and it was made in probably 2006, 2007. We're talking very early days of YouTube. A guy took the horror movie, The Shining, and recut it into a trailer that made it look like a feel-good family comedy about warmth, and love, and adoption, and children and parents, and it blew my mind. In 2006, 2007, such a thing had never existed. Maybe Letterman would have something like that, but for all you knew, it was made by, a huge production team. Shining was made by one guy for one competition, and he warped the entire movie. And to have that kind of power, I thought, I've got to do this.
This was the first time Michael understood the power of online video production, and he was obsessed. Learning to edit became his life's new fixation, and it didn't take long for him to start posting his own edits on YouTube and other popular sites like Funny or Die and College Humor. His early hits included
I forgot about those. Damn, that's crazy. That's a throwback, dude. Funny or Die and College Humor. That's wild as fuck. I totally forgot about those websites.
stuff like Getting High with Obama and Hillary Clinton farts. They were your typical 2000s meme edits. Nothing like what is known for now, but it was a start. Once he got the taste of making videos, he wanted to go deeper, and that's when everything he'd learned before started paying off. Without realizing it, Michael had already picked up on 3 skills that would later become the backbone of Vsauce. The first one was simple. He knew how to make boring things sound interesting. Back in high school, after joining the speech club, his very first presentation was on the history of ketchup. Michael cleverly titled this speech "Catch Up on Ketchup," which, if you're a fan of modern Vsauce, already sounds like the title of one of his videos. But speech club didn't just teach him how to come up with clever—
Dude, this is just filling me with joy. I fucking used to love Vsauce back when I was like in high school. I would watch all of his videos. I would just sit there in my room and watch his videos on repeat. So that, I don't know. He does definitely have a like part in my life for sure, which is crazy.
But titles, it taught him how to take a topic nobody cares about and still make people want to listen. And once you learn how to
I just thought about dude, the human cake where they got him to what did they get him to do? I forget. That shit was fucking hilarious though. Oh man, did they like clip his toenails or something? That shit was so fucking funny. Oh no. He was like acting like he was a homeless person out on the street. He's like, "Do you guys want to know some science facts?" After they had him spit in the cup. That shit was funny.
Hold someone's attention like that, the next skill almost comes naturally. You start noticing what actually grabs people's attention. College turned out to be an even bigger blessing for Michael, as studying psychology likely gave him a better understanding of how people think, what they pay attention to, and why some ideas just click. Looking back, it's easy to see how that knowledge helped him explain insanely abstract concepts in a way that still feels simple. But the real reason it worked wasn't just what he knew, it was how he packaged it. Because Michael could also write, and you can see traces of that English literature background in his videos. The way he could take weeks worth of research and messy ideas and compress them into one straightforward script that almost anyone could follow, like we're doing right now. However, even with all 3 of those skills, Michael still wasn't safe. He was about to run into a trap that's taken down many content creators before him. Remember the Hillary video I mentioned earlier? It went mega viral and gained over 7 million views in just a few days. Even by today's standards, it would be considered a massive hit, so you can imagine how insane it was back then. But that wasn't all. Not long after that, another one of his videos got featured on Funny or Die by the site's founder, which would have given him a huge confidence boost to keep going, but also nudged him in the wrong direction. Normally, an early success like this would have turned him into a one-trick pony. He would have kept making the same kinds of edits, see a bit of success, and then slowly fade into irrelevance once the internet stopped finding them funny. Fortunately, Michael understood that risk better than most, which is also why he pushed for the name Vsauce instead of Video Game Nation, and eventually, he started getting noticed. One of the creators of Barely Political, which was a popular YouTube channel at the time, came across his work and liked it. This helped Michael land his first job in the online entertainment industry. He was hired by Next New Networks, the company that owned Barely Political, almost immediately after graduation. On paper, it looked like the perfect next step, but it put him dangerously close to the ugliest side of early YouTube.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete—
Next New Networks was what's known as an MCN, or a multi-channel network. MCNs worked with several different creators and channels, helping with content production and sponsorships in exchange for a cut of their income. And Michael was hired as a writer and editor for these partnered channels. This was already a risky position to take, since most MCNs don't have the best reputation on the internet. Their entire business relied on tricking unsuspecting creators with fake promises of sponsorships and support, failing to provide any real value, all while stealing most, if not all, of their income. Even some of the biggest creators on YouTube fell victim to these predatory MCNs. Michael could have easily ended up as just another cog in that machine. Luckily, Next New Networks turned out to be an exception, and Michael made full use of that opportunity. Working behind the scenes gave him a real understanding of how videos get made at scale, and what separates an engaging video from your average funny edits. But the bigger turning point came in 2011, when YouTube acquired Next New Networks and made it part of its internal creator program, the Next Lab. Suddenly, Michael wasn't just making videos anymore. He was inside the system itself. He was hired as a content strategist at Google, gaining first-hand experience most creators can only dream.
Damn, I didn't know that he worked for Google for a little bit. That's pretty crazy.
Of. The Next Lab, as in laboratory, because we were literally in the trenches. We were mixing the chemicals, going, what if the thumbnail was blue? What if the video was really long? Do comments affect if you get on the front page? What's more important, likes, favorites, or comments? To this day, no one knows how the YouTube algorithm works, except like 2 people, but in those early days, all we did was try and hack the whole thing. And that brings us back to Vsauce, and how it became the face of educational content on YouTube. In many ways, Vsauce was the culmination of everything Michael had learned in school, college, and working behind the scenes for other creators. He was in the perfect position to make a YouTube channel successful, but while that explains the initial growth, it still doesn't answer how Vsauce is still just as popular today. In the age of short attention spans and constant dopamine hits, how does someone make long educational videos that not just survive, but actually thrive? For Michael, the secret lies in optimizing every aspect of his video to near perfection, not trying to trick people into watching his video, but actually getting them invested in the content itself. Let's take one of his most popular videos as an example. What if everyone jumped at once? The first thing that stands out here is the title. It's a simple but intriguing question that immediately sparks your curiosity. And that's true for nearly every popular video he's posted. Is the Earth actually flat? Is your red the same as my red? And
I remember that video. Is your red the same as my red? That's crazy. I actually remember the if everyone jumped at once video too.
How high can we build? They're questions most people have thought about at some point, but not ones you can answer without going down a rabbit hole of backbreaking research. So when a title like that shows up in your feed, it's hard to not at least pause and think about it. That's step 1. The next step in Michael's plan seems like a terrible idea. Answer the question he posed in the title as quickly and efficiently as possible.
So then we jump. What happens? Unfortunately, not much.
Ask any big YouTuber today and they'll tell you doing this will kill the video's retention. But for Vsauce, the effect of this is completely opposite. It creates a trust between Michael and the viewer. So the next time you see a Vsauce video on your suggestions, you'll know that the title isn't clickbait and that it'll actually pay you back for the click.
I've found that asking a strange question is a great way to get people in. Not just people, but fans. And fans are different than just viewers or an audience because fans want to come back. They subscribe to you on YouTube and they want to watch everything you've made and everything you plan to make in the future. Because we are curious people, and sparking curiosity is great bait. It's a great way to catch a human.
By answering the primary question up front, Michael also shows a level of respect for the viewer, which is unfortunately the opposite of what most YouTube playbooks recommend today. Creators are taught to hold the payoff hostage for as long as possible to keep their watch time high. And while that strategy works, it also subconsciously builds frustration and a lack of trust. Even back when Vsauce first gained traction, clickbait was already part of YouTube. Creators would dangle the answer and save the real point for the end of the video. But over time, this pattern has only gotten worse, which a lot of people now call the Mr. Beastification of YouTube. The title and thumbnail promise something specific, but the viewer has to sit through the entire video to reach what they were looking for. Michael almost never does that, which adds another layer to the credibility he's built up with his audience. Then comes arguably the most important part of every Vsauce video, something Michael referred to as a journey, a logic train that makes you go, oh wow, where are we going today? Because with Vsauce, the answer is only the entry point into a much larger than life discussion. Often, this journey takes the form of tangents that seem unrelated at first. In our example video, Michael suddenly starts talking about the definition of the word decimate.
Pick a card. I've got 10 of them here. Let's say you choose this one. Boom. Congratulations. We have just decimated this deck of cards. Why? Well, because technically, decimate does not mean obliterate completely. Deci, 10. It means to take away 1/10 of something.
Then he pivots into Dunbar's number, which describes the maximum number of people we can have stable relationships with at once. From there, he zooms out even further, talking about the sheer scale of the universe compared to humans, before ending the video on a hopeful note about how us ordinary people can still make a real impact. With this, Michael turned the simple question of what would happen if everyone jumped at the same time into a much more interesting and deep discussion about human existence, effectively teaching the viewer a lot more than they expected to learn from this one video.
And once you've caught them, you have this captive audience that you can, with the goal in mind of answering the question, accidentally teach a lot of things to.
This extra knowledge inspires people to go on and learn about topics they never would have clicked on. At the same time, it also increases the perceived value of that video above everything else on YouTube, and rightfully so. Michael knows that boring tangents will make people click off faster than he can say.
Hey, Vsauce. Michael here.
So he doesn't release a video until he's certain it will be worth watching for his fans.
Has there ever been an abandoned project in the sense of being like, here's a really interesting question, and then doing the reading, and then either because it doesn't make sense, or it feels like something you won't be able to easily communicate, or because you don't have, enough to sort of say on it or whatever?
I need to watch this interview. I haven't watched the Alex O'Connor interview with Vsauce. I'll have to watch that.
Ever that you thought, I'd love to have made a video about that, but I had to give it up?
No, I've never given up. I've never abandoned anything, but sometimes they sit for a long time because I don't know either where to go or how to make it an episode with a spine.
Most importantly, this isn't a one-off thing. Nearly every Vsauce video people love has a similar format. This is also where Michael's previous experiences come into play. Editing and producing videos for others trained him to be a one-man army, which is true to this day.
But I do the research all by myself, and I write the scripts, and then I film them all alone in a room, and then I edit them myself.
Even his time creating crass
That's gotta take forever.
comedy videos helped him make science and educational videos less boring. Laid out like this, it all sounds so simple and effortless, but it really isn't. Michael's journey to becoming the face of educational content on YouTube required nearly 2 decades of hard work and a dedication to his core principles.
Have you seen the video where I count by prime numbers for 3 hours? Well, that video is take 2. Yeah, here's what happened. The first time I did it, the guy whose job was to stop me after 3 hours read the clock wrong, and I was stopped after 2 hours and 59 minutes. And I'm so glad I did it again because it shows my commitment to my core 3 principles. We all
That's crazy as fuck. He was like, it was 1 second short, or 1 minute short. Not good enough.
need to be accurate, we all need to be honest, and we all need to sometimes do things that are a huge waste of time.
Michael's integrity is a big part of why his audience puts so much trust in him. But there was a time when this integrity was called into question, leading to a situation that could have easily ruined his reputation forever. On January 11th, 2017, Michael announced his YouTube original show, Mindfield. But unlike his
I remember that. That was actually very well put together.
normal videos, this was going to be locked behind a paid YouTube Red subscription. This was around the time when YouTube wanted to compete with services like Netflix more directly, so they focused on producing exclusive paid content with creators that they thought people would like.
But all the paid content, the shit sucked. Like it wasn't like Hollywood good. I don't even know what this Logan Paul fucking thing was, but I guarantee that sucked. I never watched that. Didn't watch that. But I did watch Vsauce's one.
And while some of these were bigger successes than others,
This one was a big success. I just assumed that it would have been terrible.
the main problem was with the poor reputation of YouTube Red itself. You have to remember that while paying for YouTube with YouTube Premium is normalized now, it wasn't always the case. Many people simply didn't like the idea of paying for a service they'd been using for free for over a decade. The mixed quality of its exclusive shows didn't help its case either. So when an otherwise beloved channel like Vsauce released the trailer for its Red exclusive show, fans were skeptical to say the least. Many believed that this would be the end of the Michael they knew and loved.
I think I actually got YouTube Red just to watch that. I'm pretty sure that I did that.
He's gone corporate. You sold your soul. Yeah, that's it. Get fans and now cash in. Please stop this nonsense and go back to your normal routine. The backlash got even worse by people who still wanted to watch the show but couldn't because YouTube Red was only available in 5 countries at that point. This
Damn, I didn't know that. That kind of sucks.
led to the trailer getting over 10% dislikes, becoming one of the most hated videos on Vsauce. If those fears about Michael's content going corporate were true, this could have been the beginning of the end for Vsauce. The stakes couldn't have been higher, but then the first episode came out, and the concerns people had vanished overnight. In a smart move, YouTube released the first full episode for free, preventing fans from feeling left out. More importantly, the episode proved that the higher production values weren't going to detract from what Vsauce was always about.
When I understand something, I'm happy, but I want to tell other people. So look at how lucky am I? That's my job. I can say, oh, I understand that theorem now. Now I get to share it with others and hopefully help speed them along that process of understanding it.
The only difference with Mindfield was that its higher budget allowed Michael to execute his more physical ideas, compared to the more theoretical discussions of his normal videos. At its core, Mindfield was still about education and science, not the mindless spectacle most big-budget YouTuber projects turn into. So while his regular content took a backseat, Mindfield
The Smosh movie. I forget what that movie, like anything about that movie, but I do remember watching it. I don't remember what the movie was about at all, but I do remember watching it.
ended up becoming one of the more successful YouTube Red shows. It was greenlit for 2 more seasons and managed to keep up the quality people expected from Vsauce at this point. But the real turning point for Mindfield came on August 30th, 2019, when YouTube announced all 3 seasons would become free for everyone, taking a near disaster and flipping it into a complete win for the fans. However, Mindfield still had one major problem that could have caused trouble, and that was Michael's absence. You see, Mindfield took up all of Michael's time, leaving little room for him to research and create his usual content. Then in August 2019, he became a father, which naturally shifted his priorities.
Damn, she looks pretty old to be having a kid.
And would have made his upload schedule even more
I could be wrong though, but she just looks old for having a kid.
inconsistent. To top it all off, Vsauce videos had become longer and more complex over the years. He uploaded at least twice every month in his early days, but now every new video required months of research. He had to read 41 different books just for the Illusions of Time video he posted on January 2021, and he wasn't willing to compromise on his standards. But while this was good news for the channel's quality, it also meant fans had to wait forever between uploads. He even disappeared completely after uploading a video in November 2022, and didn't return until July 2025. While technically, he was still active.
I didn't even know they returned in 2025. I'm gonna have to watch these new videos.
On the internet, including on his channel's shorts section,
I've seen his shorts. I knew they kept doing his shorts.
but that was far from the content most fans were looking forward to. Yet, despite not uploading a long-form video in over 2.5 years, Vsauce still returned to an audience of millions. And instead of being angry, the fans were just happy to see him back, including channels who have millions of their own following, showing just how widespread Michael's influence on YouTube truly is, which goes against—
Yeah, dude, he's like a legend on YouTube. He is like one of the faces of YouTube when you think of YouTube, like huge YouTubers, you know? He's one of those faces where like he's going to be in people's minds forever, I feel like. Same with Matt Pat. Matt Pat is also one of those that I just think, even though Matt Pat quit, I don't know what, I mean, he just has people on there, but I think everyone's going to remember Matt Pat, you know? I don't even really like Matt Pat, but I do think that everyone's going to remember Matt Pat.
Everything the average YouTuber has to do to stay relevant. Most creators need to post at least once a week just to stay on the algorithm's radar, more if they want to see any meaningful growth. Yet Vsauce goes against the grain completely and is still as relevant, successful, and beloved as ever.
I run a podcast solo. No producer, no editor, no tech skills, just Riverside.
And herein lies the biggest strength of the brand Michael Stevens has managed to build over the last 15 years. His viewers trust him to deliver a premium experience whenever he can, and they're willing to wait a very long time for it. After all, they have years of consistent high-quality content as proof of his dedication. They know that when the rest of YouTube was chasing trends and optimizing their videos for the algorithm, Michael stayed true to the Vsauce DNA. Even when he received a bigger budget for a more traditional production, he didn't compromise on quality. He's never given his fans a single reason to doubt him, which sounds easy enough, but in an era of endless YouTuber controversies, it is tremendously difficult to pull off. In that sense, Michael and Vsauce go against everything modern YouTube stands for, and that even extends to his primary merch line, the Curiosity Box. The typical YouTuber merch is either a collection of generic t-shirts and hoodies with their logo printed up front, or a disastrous cash grab. That's sadly the norm the audience expects. It's rare to see a YouTuber product that's both genuinely good and a natural fit for the creator's brand. And Curiosity Box is one of those rare examples that reinforces fans' trust instead of
yeah, because he makes all these cool little things and it relates to his content, you know?
exploiting it. It is a monthly subscription where each month you get a package with...
I wouldn't get it just because I don't like having a bunch of junk in my house. I would end up throwing away most of it, you know? But I do think it's kind of cool, some of the stuff that I see when he unboxes it.
Unique scientific gadgets and toys. From a ruler that's exactly 1 nanolight year long, to a deck of cards where each card shows a different cross-section of the human body. Just like his videos, Curiosity Box encourages fans to seek out answers and to learn about things they otherwise aren't interested in. In a way, it's an extension of the Vsauce content that everyone already loves. He could have just made something more generic, and his longtime fans would have supported him anyway. But he didn't. He went the extra mile, earning even more trust and loyalty from his audience. So, the real reason Vsauce never fell off in 15 years is because Michael never compromised his vision for what
It's because he's a real ass nigga, dude. Michael from Vsauce is a real ass nigga.
Channel should be. Not to mention the perfect combination of experiences and expertise that allowed him to become so popular in the first place. The question now is, where will Vsauce go from here? Well, it's been over 6 months since...
Alright. Well, that was good. I actually enjoyed that. It kind of was like a blast from the past, you know? I loved Vsauce when I was younger, so... I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of his videos just to get like that nostalgia. Man, it kind of like made me happy. I don't know. That was cool to watch. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe because we're posting videos like this every single day. Peace.